Welcome to Bulldog Talk, a podcast presented by Celina Curriculum.
Welcome to a special edition of Bulldog Talk. I'm here with Dr. Nicole Law, who is helping us with our Assessment Capable Learners, or ACL initiative. Today, Dr. Law spent some time with us in the classrooms and had the opportunity to provide a professional learning opportunity for our high school. Welcome to Bulldog Talk, Dr. Law.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. Bulldog Talk, I just love that.
Yes, a lot of our viewers love it as well. So we're always pleased to bring something new to our community, just to talk about all the wonderful things that are happening in the district. So, Dr. Law, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah. Well, I'm Nicole Law from Indianapolis, Indiana. I've been an educator since 1992. And in that time, I was an 8th grade general science teacher, a 9th grade biology teacher, and a 4th grade teacher. So pretty much all of the grade bands. And I had the opportunity of having a couple assistant principalships during my career, all at the elementary, or both of them were at the elementary level. And in Indianapolis, Indiana, outside of that county, we have townships in Indy. And I worked in the Metropolitan School District of Wayne Township. And in that, I served pre-K to 6th grade. And then I became an elementary school principal. And I was an elementary school principal about 9 years. And then I went to serve the district as EL coordinator, as well as I was over equity and AVID, our AVID program. And so that was an incredible experience for me to be able to see how teaching and learning are supported at the district level, and how central office administrators really get in there and support not just the teachers, but still the students. I think that it is a misnomer that once you go to the district office that you don't support students. But I like to believe that our role at the central office, that we still have a direct impact on scholars and their learning. I am now a consultant for Corwin. I've had some opportunities to be an independent contractor, but now I work for Corwin Professional Learning, and this is where the assessment capable learners are something that we talk about all the time. How are we promoting assessment capable learning in all of our classrooms, from our youngest learner to even our adult learners?
So, Dr. Law, you have a life outside of your work with ACL. Can you share a little bit about what you do when you're not working with Corwin and Assessment Capable Learners?
Oh my, I don't know that I...
Share with us whatever you want.
Yeah, it's like work is just my life. And so I am going to find that work-life balance. But as we hear, what comes first? Work. We don't say life-work balance. We say work-life balance. So I'm going to try to find some balance in all of that. But I have a husband who is a high school principal back at home in Indianapolis, Indiana. And my son, Kyle, he's 24. I was just sharing. He has his own condo. He is a pre-K teacher. In Indianapolis, Indiana. So education and teaching runs in our blood. And I am a avid traveler. I love to travel. So anytime I can find time to get out of Indianapolis, I prefer water and beaches and sunny weather. That is what I like to do for fun and enjoyment, and just to hit refresh.
Yeah, we definitely need to hit refresh, recharge every once in a while. So it's glad to hear that you're doing some of those, and thanks for telling us about your family.
Thank you.
I'm sure they're a wonderful support for you and all the work that you do. So, Dr. Law, when I saw you a couple years ago at a leadership conference, I knew that just seeing you had this engaging personality. You connect well with all members of the audience, and to me, I think that the thing that I'm looking forward to, one of the big things with our teachers here at Celina, is you connecting and engaging with our audience and our teachers here. And we'll talk about more of that specifically here in a little bit. But can you talk a little bit more to our audience about assessment capable learners and some of the work that you're looking to do here at Celina?
Yes. Well, first, I just want to thank you for your leadership and reaching out to me, and just the opportunity to remember the impact that was made on your learning. And then reaching out so we can spread that support throughout your district. Assessment capable learners are able to know where they're going in the learning process, know how they're going, know why they're going down that path of learning, and then they're able to identify when they're there. And so we call this really teacher clarity. And I'm reminded of a couple of quotes. And as you get to know me, you will hear that I have a lot of isms. I call them Nicole-isms. But this is not my quote, but it's Marcus Buckingham. And Marcus Buckingham says that clarity is the antidote to anxiety. And when we think about even Brené Brown, who says to be clear is to be kind, and to be unclear is to be unkind. And when we can have the mindset of developing assessment capable learners where they know where they're going, how they're going, when they will get there, and then why they're going down that learning path and what they're learning, that demystifies that whole notion of what are we doing today in class. And it lowers the affective filter, or we might say it reduces anxiety when you know exactly what the expectations are.
Right. And something that we're doing in addition to our literacy initiative here is K through 12 ACL. Mm-hmm. And something that we've been working with our teachers here the past few years is introducing and implementing assessment capable learners in kindergarten all the way up to 12th grade. Can you talk a little bit about the impact of ACL on maybe all those ages a little bit?
Yes. In fact, in our afternoon session with the high school educators, I mentioned one of my scholars that I highlight often, and her name is Sarah. And Sarah is a kindergartner who is able to identify where she is in the writing process. The teacher has incorporated a rainbow writing rubric that is based on different colors, the various indicators. And so Sarah, at 5 years old, is able to say where she's going and where she is. And when she says, this is where I am and what my next steps are. So not only does an assessment capable learner that's 5 years old, they're not only able to say where they are, but they're also able to express their where to next. And they know exactly what it's going to take for them to get there. So when I think about assessment capable learners in the elementary schools, I'm thinking of a couple of things. One is that they know where they're going. Two, they know how they're going to get there. And those are strategies and tools and support and their peers and groups. And then they know their role. And so we're really identifying for young people where they're going, how they're going to get there. When we do that, that builds agency, that builds efficacy, and that gives students a sense of belonging because they know what's expected of them, which is a beautiful thing.
Right.
When I think about, middle school and high school, so we were able to see some classes today, and what I saw was through assessment capable learning, engagement increase. All of the students in your schools that we observed today were engaged. They were engaged, Vaughn, by 3 levels. Behaviorally engaged, doing the work. That's what we look for all the time. They were doing the work, participating, raising their hands, sharing with peers. Then that cognitive engagement, they were thinking, they were processing, they wanted to talk about their learning. And they didn't say what they were doing. They commented on what they were learning. And then that last one, that emotional engagement. We heard laughs, we heard ooh. And anytime we can hear, ooh, I'm thinking about, or ooh, I'm making that connection, that's that emotional engagement. And it was amazing to see in your schools today.
Right, our teachers are doing great things, our students are doing great things. And if we could, let's talk a little bit about some of the specific examples of some of the awesome work that's happening by our students and teachers in the classroom. What are some things that you want to specifically mention? We saw the project where the students got to create mythological figures out of all the teachers throughout the middle school. Can you talk a little bit about some of those?
Absolutely. That was one of our earlier classes, and I was blown away. What we saw was the learning intention or the learning target posted. Then we saw the success criteria. And the two teachers who are co-teachers were able to go to the rubric and share exactly what was expected out of the students so they can self-assess during this project and then self-regulate. They were working in pairs, and what I saw even in the pairs, Vaughn, was that the students were able to share the responsibility of learning. I did not see one student working harder than another student. Maybe they were working differently, but it was still in relationship to the success criteria based on the learning target.
Right, every kid was able to find some access to the work. In looking at that, we didn't know specifically what ability each kid was. They were so engaged, they were all into the emotion, the cognitive, in doing the work. So that was a wonderful thing for us to see right from the start.
It was.
We also got a chance to go into some different classes at the intermediate building. Did you want to talk about any of those?
So when I think about the intermediate building, it was one artifact, and I can't wait for Mr. Ray to share this maybe in a newsletter. And what we saw was students being able to identify, I like to say self-regulate, that language from the research, but identify where they are in that learning target. If they need help, I need help.
Right.
If I'm kind of okay, but check on me, they're able to show a middle of the road with a middle road thumb. If I got it, I'm good, I can support others, it's a thumbs up. And so they identify based on the learning target exactly where they are on the sheet. And then the teacher has an opportunity to give very specific targeted feedback for that scholar. What was the beautiful thing in that example, we saw a scholar's work that's a Marshallese student that's brand new to the district, being able to engage in that type of assessment capable learning, as well as a student who is a general education student that has the language, be able to also say where they were. And that felt really good, that the teacher is creating that environment for that type of reflection, that type of regulation, and the use of feedback.
Right. We saw a lot of great things today. We saw teachers sharing learning targets and success criteria in multiple ways, whether it was kinesthetic, visual, or auditory. Dr. Law just talked about a way where teachers used a formative assessment to gauge, do students truly understand the work that we're doing? Some other great things that we saw in the classroom today were relationship building. Teachers getting to know their students and having some great two-way conversation. Did you want to share any examples that you saw out of that?
Definitely. Well, in the classroom from it was the U.S. history class with was it U.S. history?
Yeah, it was 8th grade.
8th grade. 3 teachers were in that classroom and with a co-teaching model. And what you saw was all of the students are our students. That was quite significant. Even the resource teacher that's not a part of that actual class, in a sense, the physical class.
Right.
But the opportunity to push in, it just felt like a community. It was a community of learners. And so when I think about relationships, and I know the effect size of relationships, that it's a heavy hitter from the visible learning research, and that was where assessment capable learning was birthed out of John Hattie's work and the visible learning research. 2 aspects that he talks about that I really saw today. One, definitely teacher-student relationships. We saw that throughout. We saw a math class at the middle school as well, where there was just a relationship of reciprocity, mutuality, where the teacher had created a safe environment. One teacher cleaned out a backpack to help a student get organized right when students were working in the midst, and the student didn't feel embarrassed. It was, my teacher is helping me get organized. That was the feel. And so thinking about relationships, that relationship was the catalyst for that to happen, right? And I'm also reminded of teacher credibility. I saw a lot of teacher credibility today as well. And teacher credibility really is the beginning, if you will, of assessment capable learners. And teacher credibility has 4 aspects that I like to think about that I saw. And it's trust. My teacher is here to make me better, to make me a better student, to make me a better learner, to make me a better person for my society, our society. The next one is competence. My teacher knows his or her stuff. They know their stuff. And so they are competent. They know their discipline. And then the third one is that immediacy. My teacher is there when I need my teacher to help me clean out my backpack and get organized so I can be an assessment capable learner so the junk doesn't get in the way. And then that last piece is that dynamism. That dynamism that we saw in several classes, and that's the energy, being excited about our discipline, being excited about our students and our school. So I saw many examples of those 2 aspects, teacher-student relationships and teacher credibility.
Right, we have a lot of great things that are happening. And I did misspeak before, it was a 7th grade world history, not 8th grade American. So I apologize for that. So thinking about the future with ACL, you know, we have you coming in to help us get through the process and to help you connect our work and to make sure that we're implementing ACL in the right way. Mm-hmm. What are some things that you've been thinking about as far as helping us with, and then what are you excited to help us with most of all?
Definitely. I am really excited in helping you collect the artifacts to show the ACL that's going on in the classrooms, and being able not just to take pictures when I see it, but having your teachers recognize that this is a really good artifact and this is why. And then the continuation of developing artifacts, very specific tasks that lead us to that assessment capable learners. I'm also excited about being able to help support student dispositions. Assessment capable learners have certain dispositions, and when we can identify, when we see those dispositions, just like with anything else, when we give feedback on it or elevate it, we want to enhance it, we want to strengthen it. And so being able to specifically call out those dispositions or mind frames, if you will, for assessment capable learners, and being intentional. My part, being intentional in teaching those mind frames or dispositions and helping teachers recognize them when students display those dispositions or mind frames.
Right, so a lot of exciting things that we're going to work on here in the second semester include working on some of those mind frames that Dr. Law is talking about. We're going to dive deep into building relationships and then using those relationships to help us give the students feedback in their work. So we have a lot of exciting work coming to Celina here in the second part of the year. Just wanted to clarify, we are working here in Celina on 2 gigantic initiatives. We're working on literacy and also ACL. We have around 125 teachers in the district working on literacy, and we have 110 working on ACL. Our goal is to mesh those together at some point, and along the way of us continuing with both processes, we're going to bring them and blend them together. So that's going to be something special that we're going to be working on in the future. So beyond all this ACL work, beyond you working with Corwin and doing some things, what are some other things that you're working on in your life or in your work?
Exactly. Well, I had just, this week, my book came out, and I do have it. Yes, I brought it to share, and it's called Collective Equity. And it's with my co-author, and I'm going to give is it the Bulldog Bark?
You could do that now, for sure. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I'm going to give another one then, but I do want to give Sanja a Bulldog Bark. Her name is Sanja Hollins-Alexander, and she's the Global Professional Developer Director for Corwin, and she's my co-author on Collective Equity. And you know, Vaughn, everything that has, taken place from COVID and just students being disrupted in their learning, and trying to figure out how do we hit refresh. I like that word because we don't want to hit reset and lose everything. I'm thinking about the Geek Squad. The first thing they'll say to you, have you saved everything in the cloud, right? And if you don't, you're going to lose everything if you have to do a hard reset. But when we refresh, we don't lose everything. We can shut down our computer or hit that little icon in the top left of our computer and hit refresh. And so when I think about collective equity, how can we come together and think about those things that lift the cognition for all of our scholars, be it our scholars that are living in poverty or our scholars that don't have access. We talk about that in collective equity, and we've done research around that work and what it's going to take to lift the cognition. We're really big in that emotional, cognitive, and behavioral engagement. That's important for all of our scholars and important for adults as well. So I am so pleased to share that book was written during a difficult time because it was during the pandemic, and Sandra and I made significant sacrifices to write, and it wasn't always easy, but it came out into my hands this week. You can follow me on Twitter, Nicole Law, pull me up. You'll see a very exciting picture because I just got it this week, and so I'm taking it everywhere.
Right. I'll have to get some sort of autographed copy. I have a couple copies of the book, but I'll have to have you sign mine, and that way it'll be a great piece of evidence.
I know, and I don't know how you got your book before me, Vaughn. I'm like, really? When you told me you had it, I'm like, you got your book before me. Maybe it's your zip code.
Maybe, I don't know, but yeah, looking forward to reading that and being able to have some discussions further. So, Dr. Law, I've asked you quite a few questions. Yes. Is there anything that you wanted to talk about that I didn't ask you?
Yeah, one question definitely is when we think about ACL, how is it that we're communicating? I love the podcast and the conversations that you have with individuals or just sharing out. But how are you going to make sure that you're keeping families and the community informed of all of the initiatives of what you're doing, especially with ACL?
Well, we are using our podcasts to share and explain a little bit about what we're doing. And we share that on social media and on our website. I also put out a monthly newsletter to the school community and staff that highlights all the things that we're doing with curriculum. I also put quite a few updates on ACL on our curriculum website, which is just an easy click off of our main page. We also have a special ACL video website, which Jonathan Williams has worked with me on, and we have a lot of great pieces of evidence out there of implementing with our teachers. So those are just a few that we have going on right now.
That is amazing. Yes, and then one last question for you. What are you looking forward to the most out of our partnership?
Out of our partnership, bringing a special program to Celina and implementing it obviously with fidelity is really important. But to me, it's about our connecting, to me, I think, an expert in the field, someone who can really connect and help us do this the right way. Yeah. When it comes to some of these initiatives, I could sit up here and do it all on my own, or I could just give teachers books and manuals. But when you bring someone who has the knowledge, somebody who's working on it in the field, someone who's known throughout the country, and it's been successful. When you can bring that level in to connect with our teachers, that's exceptional. But also, Nicole, something that really excited me when I got to see you speak is your ability to build relationships and your willingness to help others. So to me, it's been a privilege to start this partnership and to bring you in to work with our staff. So we talk a lot about building relationships and so forth. I'm hoping and I'm really looking forward to our staff building a partnership, but also a meaningful relationship with you.
Oh, thank you. That's beautiful. Yes.
So, and I did not script that. That all came from the heart. So, no, it's
I believe that. Yes.
I think that if there's anything we can share with our staff is they do tremendous things on a daily basis. We need to make a few tweaks to the things that we're doing and work on us being a little bit more intentional in just a few areas. But our staff has always been willing to take a step forward to help and get better each day. The same thing that we talk about with our students. So we're looking forward to continuing that. All right, let's talk about a bulldog bark.
All right, my bulldog bark, because I talk about the collective, right? So that term is so important to me. And this is, you talked about the heart. This is heart work. It's hard work, and it is hard work. But when we start from the hard work becomes easy. When we do it together. We go far and we go fast when we go together. That is one of my isms. And I just want to thank you and the high school principal and all the schools that we visited today. Jonathan for videotaping us and just being able to bring a visitor in and make that visitor feel like they're a part of the Celina community. And I have evidence that I'm a part of your community, as I am wearing today. And so my bulldog bark goes to all of the administrators, teachers, and students that just welcomed me today. I heard some amazing comments. One from, I had really nice hair. And so that is definitely a yay rah moment. So
yes, it is. So it's great that our students and are very complimentary, and to me that's just another great thing about Celina. You know, we're always welcoming and affirming, no matter who we bring in to help out and to help us get better each day. And as you mentioned, we are definitely all in this together. That's something that we always talk about in all of our messages. Together we will. So.
And I want to say, I go to a lot of places across our country, and I think when you're in it, you take it for granted, but that's not always the case. So that bark, bulldog bark, is sincere, and it was a very special visit today, one of the best that I've had. So thank you.
Yes. So well, thank you, Dr. Law. We're going to obviously bring Dr. Law back in for some more work here in the second semester and in the coming years to help us with relationship building and implementing ACL. And hopefully we get Dr. Law to come back on another podcast. That'd be wonderful as well. So thank you for taking time out of your day and your schedule to connect with our community. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Yes, be well, everyone.